So Morphic TS is going to be able to help us get rid of some of this boilerplate, starting with this. Let's do it in Node first. So starting with, yeah, we don't need that. So it's a tagged union. Type is our tag, and of type is just going to be, you're going to use this key as our type. We can be more specific with of type if we want and add an ID. So that's how you make a location. Location is actually an ADT type that we have to get our type from. We can do stuff with this ADT type. For example, we're still able to create a location like this. We're also able to do this, which is a little bit nicer, I think. And that's going to be the same thing. We can use of, or we can use as, which is actually a stricter type. If we use of, you can see that it could be any of these things. I like to use of in general because it's less restrictive, but that's what as is. We can use of in our parser now. I keep forgetting to tell you guys about 0. Remember how we used to just have, our parser like that? Well, you can also just start with a 0 and use all alternatives, which is a little bit easier to read, I think. And our formatter actually also can be rewritten to be a little bit nicer. Morphic TS has something called match strict. Works like this. So it takes all of our different possibilities as a type, and if we forget one, then we get an error, but it says property home is missing if you look. And match strict returns a function. So that's our formatter. It's going to take location and return a string. Whoops, not formatter, format. That's Morphic TS. And now let's try using it on our actual app. We can use this for our location. Nice, it knows. So actually this gives us a couple of errors. It's not exactly the same as what we had. Topics location. Remember we used to have these interfaces? Well, we don't have them anymore. So I think called topic location, and we haven't defined it yet. So we're just making a subset of the previous ADT. And that should compile. If you're like me, this kind of bothers you because you're copying and pasting some code here. So there's actually something that Morphic TS lets us do called select, which is exactly for this type of thing. It's going to create a subset of this ADT, and that's the same thing. Cool, so that's extremely powerful. So we learned about match strict, so we can use that instead of switch now. We can get rid of that ugly let statement and just put our, we can just put our match strict in there instead, which should work. Oh yeah, we forgot to export location, as per usual. Yeah, let's add in our new parser and formatter too. Cool, and everything still works. Let's also update these location links. Oh yeah, we can use match strict down here now. Get rid of our switch. Now, if you're like me, it bothers you that you're able to choose not found here because you never really want to route to not found.
That would be something that you don't want to allow other people writing code to be able to do.
We're actually able to fix that with Morphic TS. It's something called Exclude. So we're going to call what used to be our location, parsable location, and now we're going to create something called location, and it's going to exclude not found. Cool, so this is going to cause some errors. We need to use parsable location in the appropriate place. Places in the parser, obviously, and in the formatter, and in our state. And our match strict down here. So those are all parsable locations. But everything else, we're using location. Now it doesn't have not found in it. That made coding just a little bit better. And these are just some of the cool things that you can do with Morphic TS. If you're like me, though, it still bothers you that you have to write all of this. This just seems like boilerplate.
There's actually a library that I wrote called Morphic TS Routing that lets you not have to write any of this, so stay tuned.